what has already happened there before. And what has happened there before? Christ has, gathered his disciples and abauliza, wasi usema mimi ni nani? And then they explain Elijah, Jeremiah, some even say you're one of the prophets. And then anabauliza, na nyinyi msema mimi ni nani? Ama nyinyi mnafikiria mimi ni nani? And then Peter says, you are Christ, the Son of the living God. And now Jesus now tells Peter that be blessed, that you are blessed, Simon, son of Jonah, because whatever you have said, not anyone, it's not something that you came up with. It's God who revealed that to you. And then Jesus tells him that, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. So what's happening here? So after Simon Peter answers the question that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. Now Jesus tells Peter that whatever you have said, it's not something that you have come up with. It's something that God has revealed to you. And what has God revealed to him? That Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. And then in verse 18, then Jesus says that I tell you that you are Peter, and on that rock I will build my church. Jesus calls Peter mara mbili. So the first time he says, blessed are you, Simon, son of who? Jonah. Then the second time he says, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my. The word Peter means rock. So what Christ is doing here is like he's doing a bazaar. So he has first said that you are Peter, and blessed are you, Peter. Blessed are you, Simon, son of who? Jonah. And then Arudi anasema, sisi unaitwa Peter. Your name means rock. Well, that's the insinuation. So unaitwa Peter, or unaitwa jiwe. And on that rock, what's that rock? It is what Peter has said there before. That you are Christ, the Son of the living God. So it is on that principle that that God will do what? Christ will build his church on. So the church is built on one foundation. That is who? That is Christ. And this church of God, which is the bride of Christ, has been set up by God to do some certain duties or some certain things here on earth. The church is God's appointed agency, for the salvation of men. So if men are to be led to salvation, God has decided that the church should do that work. It is through the church that all nations will get to learn about the saving power of Jesus Christ. And it's not a new concept. That at the time that Christ is saying that you are Peter, and on that principle that I will build my church, at that time there was no church, if you'd think about it, because the churches started after Jesus went to heaven with the apostles. If you would read your Bible, that's when the churches were organized. But for Christ to say at that time that I will build my church on that time, it would mean that there was an idea of the church, but at those times. And throughout eternal ages, since the creation of the world, there has always been a group of people who have been true to God, who have been, quote unquote, been the church of God. The Lord has not always worked in let me say, isolation from his people. He has always worked together with his people. And all through, there has always been a people who have been true to God. Start from Adam. There was him and Eve, and then their children. There has always been a continual generation of people who have always been true to God. And those have been the, quote unquote, the church of God. So the church of God is the place where all the riches of God are. And it is through the church that these riches of God, the riches of the grace of God, the riches of the power of God, will eventually spread to the whole world. So therefore, you and me, as we are seated here, we are the agency with which God's glory will spread to the whole world. Because the church is not this building that we are in. The church is you and me. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there. So it is through you and me that the grace, the goodness and the love of God will eventually spread to the whole world. And now, you know, if you read Matthew chapter 5, verse 14, there's some words that Christ say. Matthew 5 verse 14 is a very common verse. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. So Christ is saying, you guys, you are the light of the world. So if in the church God has placed the riches of his grace there, or the benefits of his grace in the church, then you guys are the ones who are going to light it to the world, because you're the light of the world. And now the Bible is saying that, men do not light up a candle and then put it under a bushel, but you put it on a candlestick. So if you have light, or even these bulbs, we would not put them down here, but we would put them a place where they would be beneficial to light the whole of this room. So the same case to you guys. The Lord has not placed so great a message in you guys to only hide it, to only reserve it for yourselves, but he has given you that light so that you can be of positive influence to the whole world. Then verse 16 says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. But this light that we had been told that we have, it's not light that we have intrinsically. Yes, we do not have that light within ourselves. Christ says he is the light of the world. So therefore, we that have Christ residing in our hearts, we then have the light in us. And because you have that light in us, when we are out here, we then become the light of the world. And why are we becoming the light of the world? It is because the one who is the real light of the world is living where? In us. Sasa. Hadi hapo tumeshika. Sasa. So then, there are so many great promises that God has given his church. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 56. Isaiah chapter 56 from verse 1 to verses, I think we will go to verses 7. So Isaiah 56 verses 1. So that says the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness will be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the son of man that layeth hold on it, and keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that hath joined himself unto the Lord speak, saying, the Lord hath utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus says the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant, even unto them even unto them will I give mine house, and within my walls a place and a better name than sons and daughters, and I will give them an everlasting name, and they shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves unto the Lord, to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant, even them will I bring unto my holy mountain. I will make them joyful in my house of prayer, and their burnt offering and their sacrifices I shall accept upon mine altar. For mine house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. So what is God saying here? One, God is saying that, one, he has invited everyone. Because he says, let not the eunuch say, I am like a dry tree. Let not the son of the stranger, a son of someone who is not an Israelite, let him not say that the Lord has separated me from his people. But let that person, come. Let that person who keeps the commandment of God, come near. Because the Lord has promised that he will bring them into his temple and into his walls, and his temple shall be called a house of prayer for many nations. So why are these things being talked about? So one, a eunuch was someone who was never supposed to be seen anywhere near the temple of the Lord. So let me give you a story. So when Herod became king of Judea in around from 10 BC to 6 BC, these are times when they were fighting. So when he became king, one of the ways he did solidify himself as king was to marry the daughter of who was then the high priest. And when he did marry, so it was in a way, it was a way for him to buy favor from the rest of the Judeans, that he's the husband of the daughter of the high priest, so hata akikuwa king tunaweza kubali. But what Herod did as they were fighting is that the high priest died. And when the high priest died, that is his father-in-law, the brother to the high priest wanted to become the high priest. And he did not want Herod to become the king. So when they were fighting, Herod's people went and took that guy, the brother to the high priest, I would say the uncle-in-law to Herod, and they castrated him. By castrating him, it automatically disqualified him from being the high priest, because he could not enter the sanctuary, the temple. So eunuchs were not supposed to enter into the temple. Neither people who are not true-born Israelites, they were not supposed to be seen anywhere near the temple. But God is saying, these people, let them not say that the Lord has separated them from his people, but let them draw near, because the Lord has said that his house shall be called a house of prayer for many nations. And that house is the church. So the church, God has said that it shall be the house of prayer for many nations. When God was calling Abraham, he told him that through you, all the nations of the world will be blessed. And it is true, because it is through Abraham that Christ came, and through Christ, every one of us is blessed by receiving the benefits, of what he did for us, of his grace. So it is through the church that the whole world gets to receive benefits. It is through men and women who fear the Lord, who are true to God, that the whole world gets to receive the benefits of what the God we worship, offers. You remember when Joseph went to Egypt? When he went there, Egypt was saved from famine because Joseph was where? Was there. You remember Daniel when he was in Babylon, and then Nebuchadnezzar dreams a dream, and then none is able to interpret, because Nebuchadnezzar not only asks for the interpretation, but he asks for the dream itself. And Daniel, says that he's going to pray to God, and God answers his prayer. By Daniel answering the request of the king, the wise men are saved from death. It is because we have a God-fearing person like Daniel and Joseph that those two nations got to receive the benefits that they received. Because while not those two people there, then the wise men would have perished, then Egypt would also have perished. So it is through you guys that God has designed that the whole world should get to see the benefits of the God that you guys worship. And that's not a mean thing. I think I was somewhere kwa WhatsApp, then a friend of mine akatuma a quote akasema that when if a president or if a king of this world was to send you somewhere, you would count it as an honor to do that assignment. But then when God tells us to do something, we count it as a sacrifice. And the contrast is there. When God sends you, unasema tunangangana, tunajituma, but Ruto akikutumu unasema, but we will not hear the end of you kushinda ukirudia that ulisaidia Ruto mahali. And that's the thing. God has won. The point I'm actually trying to drive is one, the Lord has decided that it is through his church that the whole world will be blessed. That's one. And you guys are the church of God. So God has then decided that it is through you people that the whole world is going to be blessed. That the whole world is going to receive the benefits that our God, does what? Gives. And these benefits are not only spiritual benefits, which is the most important. there are also these other physical and these other benefits. So there is something John says in First John, no, that John, I think verse 1 and verse 2. The elder unto the well-beloved Gaius, whom I love in the truth. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. We have always been using that verse when we're preaching about health reform and whatnot. And it is true. But there is something John is saying that we often miss. So he's saying, he's writing to Gaius, and then he tells him that, beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. So what John is telling Gaius, in the same proportion that your soul is prospering, may your health also prosper. Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. So to the degree that the soul of Gaius is prospering, so will his health and his other things do what? Prosper. And that's the thing that we sometimes miss as Christians. That we would think that, I am suffering, being a Christian, and I think I should leave God and do these other things, because naona nikikaa kwa kazi ya Mungu vitu haziende vizuri. It is sad actually when we who have the light and who we are supposed to be the standard by which the whole world should see God, actually leave God to try to advance in these other areas. Take case in point, we will sometimes not come to church on Sabbath or even on Friday Vespers because nataka kusoma, because naona church in university time. But yet God has said that you may prosper and be in health even as your soul prospereth. So to the degree that you're prospering spiritually, may you also prosper health-wise and in these other things. And that is the work of the church. That as we preach salvation, as we preach whatever Christ has done for us, whatever that accompanies, our message, should be the witness that people see in our lives, the prospering that takes place in our lives. But at times that is not always the case. That's why I'm giving examples like, at times it's not always the case when I am a student, I need to pass exams, I also need to serve God in church, but things hazipelekani. At times I will not prosper in my other things as I am prospering spiritually. And the question becomes, what is not happening? You also think that if we are to light the whole world with the goodness of God, then we have not yet reached that ideal. So there's a place where the church is not yet, it's not hitting its mark. And people would ask what is wrong, which is true, because as I have said, we are not only supposed to spread spiritual benefits, but also these other benefits. And you would think about it, it's not in church. The church is not the first place we go when we have issues. If I am sick, I will not come to church. I will go to a hospital. If I am seeking business ideas, I will not come to church, but I will go to somewhere else where I might gain these benefits. And the question becomes how, or what's the place of the church in fulfilling or in helping us prosper in all the spheres of the world? Well, I can say one, the church does offer these things. Let me tell you guys, when you're in the church or when you follow God, you will get the benefits and the good of the land that is here. Christ told his disciples, one day walimuuliza, sasa, what will we gain, by following you? Christ tells them that, in this world, you shall be paid 100-fold. And in the world to come, eternal life. So the question always becomes, how shall we as Christians gain this 100-fold? And one is, that question comes because if you look around, church is not the first place you go when you're seeking what? To enjoy the goods of the land. Why am I saying so? If, for example, let me give an example. If you're trying to lose weight, like I have been trying to do for a while now, you can be sure I have not been reading the Bible to try to what? To come up with ways that I can lose weight. I have not been consulting God. And actually this is what hit me in the manner I present it to. It is because we have reduced Christianity to only what? Saturday, devotions asubuhi, and that all. That Christianity or Jesus does not have a say in any other thing in our lives apart from what? Our spiritual life. And that's not supposed to be the case. So one day as I was, scrolling through my books and through the streets of Google and WhatsApp and, Google and YouTube, I found some things that, honestly, there are things that we've been talking as a church for a long time. We've always been announcing this church we have fasts on Wednesdays. Today. We have always been telling people new start. And honestly, so I was reading somewhere, and honestly the things that guy was saying, if you were to reduce them, you'd get what? New start. And that's what clicked me, that we have reached a place where the church has not been trying to be the light of the world. And so, men out there have actually discovered the benefits that we've been having, and they're actually sharing them. And now we are going to them to get those benefits. Well, instead those benefits are where? Are here together with us. Like for example, and allow me to talk about this. It's something that is not usually talked about a lot in church. We have quite a number of church members who are struggling with pornography, masturbation, sexual sin, and some of those things, even drug abuse, and they are there. And probably you might even be seated there and you're going through these things. And you have tried to look for a solution outside there. But honestly, the solutions are not outside there. The solutions are inside here. So allow me to talk about, like, for example, pornography and masturbation. The main reason why people engage in these things is because they are looking for an emotional fulfillment, or something that would fulfill them emotionally. More often than not, actually not more often than not, when you are an addict to these vices, you are not an addict because you, quote unquote, love engaging in sex. That's not the case. You are an addict because you are, one, feeling useless. You do not like yourself. You are feeling meaningless. And when once you feel that way, what your body does is anything you feel in your body, it's expressed in terms of chemicals. That whatever feelings you have, those feelings are just chemicals in your brain. So for you to feel meaningless, useless, and worthless, there are chemicals in your brain that bring about that feeling. And those chemicals lead you to feel depressed. So if then, when you're somewhere seated, someone suggests to you, ikitu, mostly these things are spread, by someone referring you to them. So if probably in your younger years, someone must have talked about it, and then, when you are in that state, when you're idle and whatnot, you remember, and then you try, you watch, engage, and then because it's an exciting experience, you get a rush of positive, chemicals in your brain. And now, in that moment, when you have those positive things or chemicals, you feel useful because you feel like you have a purpose. And that now becomes a cycle. Even sometimes when we are addicted to drugs, it is not because we love using those drugs. Those who are actually addicted will actually tell you that they are not. They do not like doing these things. But it's because you're trying to chase a feeling of being useful, then you are always engaging in these things. That you feel down, then you engage, then you feel up. feel down again. And so you're always in a constant cycle of chasing that feeling of feeling what? Useful. If you are there, this is actually a very simple thing to do. One, your main issue is that you're feeling useless. Try to find meaning in your life. And the one place you can find meaning in your life is in church, is by finding Jesus. Find Jesus. Come to church, engage in meaningful activities. By so doing, you will have a purpose in your life. At times, we tell you guys to engage in church activities. Kuja saidia deaconry and make it make it a purpose of you to always do that. Because by so doing, you have a purpose in your life. There's something you'll be engaging in that will be generating those positive neurons or those positive neurochemicals that you're always chasing. And by so doing, you will stop trying to engage in negative habits to try to get that positive what? Positive euphoria. So yes, so in church, you have, let me say, you have all benefits that are there. But it may not seem like what? Like we are getting those benefits. It may seem like, the church is failing. It may seem that, the members, one, are not yet there. Because you may come in church. For example, you find the leaders are not caring. You find the leaders are focused on other things that you feel are not important. You may find even church members are focused on other things. Church members are not as kind as you expected them to be. And you will feel that in church, this is not the right place to be. But it is the right place to be. Because it is in this place that the goodness of God will spread to what? To the whole world. But now, what do we do now that it seems to us that the church is like not fulfilling its goal? One, we have not been called to have our hopes in the church. We've been called to have our hopes fixed on who? When I started, I read you that Peter said, "You are Christ, the Son of God." And then Christ said that it is on that principle, it is on that rock that I will build what? My church. So the church is built on the foundation of who? Of Christ. And I told you that you guys are the church. So if you are the church, where is your foundation supposed to be? It is on who? It is on Christ. It is not on Boya. It is not on Austin. It is not on Ellen White. Your foundation is supposed to be on who? On Jesus Christ. Because it is there that you're going to drink from the well of life, and by so doing, you're going to be quenched, and you're going to invite others to come and drink from the same well. That is one. We've not been invited to fix our eyes on people, but to fix our eyes on who? On Jesus Christ. Then two, the church may seem to fall. The church may seem to not meet its objective, but it will not fall. Why am I confident it will not fall? One, God has promised. He has said that the church will not fall. That's one. And then two, is he has already given us, let me say, first fruits or an evidence why the church will not fall. Let's go to Romans chapter 8. As I finish. Romans chapter 8. Verses 20. Okay, let me tell you. Romans 8 verse is 23. Let me start from verse 22. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. So we all know that the whole creation is struggling. You all see the things that happen. Those of you who see Nat Geo World and you see the cruelty that is there, you can all agree that the whole world is groaning and travailing until now. And not only they, and not only the creation, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even ourselves groan within ourselves, redemption of our bodies. So Paul is saying, not only the creation is groaning, but also us are doing what? Are groaning. But we who are groaning, we are groaning with the first fruits of what? Of the Spirit. And we are waiting for the redemption to wit the, we're waiting for the adoption to wit the redemption of our bodies. We have been given